Without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to our presenter. Isla, what are we talking about today?
Hello, hello. Okay, hi, I'm Isla. I'm one of the product managers at Blumira, and today I'm excited to share highlights of some of the features and updates that we've put out this year, as well as a little glimpse into what's to come in the upcoming weeks and months. So going over our latest changes and what to expect. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us. Um, let's dive right into it. So yeah, quick agenda. We got to look back into some of the changes that you've seen on the front end in the past few weeks and months. Looking forward, and like Zoe mentioned, we'll have time for getting your questions and feedback at the end. For anyone whose questions we don't get to during this webinar, we'll make sure to save your information and follow up with you afterwards. Here's a summary of our agenda. So some of the features that we've put out this year, a time trial for XDR, Blumira Investigate, recent and favorite reports for the report builder, and SAML single sign-on. Just taking a step back to highlight our mission as a product team at Blumira is to make security accessible to SMBs. So accessibility in terms of pricing, in terms of usability and user experience, and most importantly, providing the power, flexibility, and security of tools that typically software companies have designed and tailored for large enterprises, and making sure that we tailor them to everybody. Most importantly, small and medium businesses, small enterprises, whether they're internal teams or managed service providers. We want to make sure that that security is easy to set up and run, and that it's as easy as possible for you to prevent breaches in your day-to-day. In the spirit of that, building out an XDR platform really captures the core of what Blumira wants to bring to small and medium businesses. And earlier this spring, we launched a self-service timed trial to really give everybody, any potential customer, any potential organization that's working with or considering working with Blumira, to get the chance to unlock and try out everything that we have to offer. Before I get into what this trial entails, I do want to kind of go over what Blumira's perspective on an XDR is. So when it comes to what an XDR is, there's quite a bit of fluidity in how different schools of thought in the industry define it. So I think it's worth going over the areas or the criteria that Blumira considers. First, importantly, and core to the value of what we provide is providing centralized logs in one place and only really bringing to your attention what is meaningful. That's core to what we provide. Blumira, really strives to be that glue that brings together different systems and have them working together in harmony and coordination to have our security approach be as rigorous and thorough as possible. And with that, the second criteria that we consider is providing with breadth and depth, a strong set of security tools that are integrated together. So on blumira.com/integrations, you can see the scope of integrations that we provide, whether they are devices, connectors, sensors, or third-party tools. We want to make sure that you have at your disposal a variety of approaches to secure your systems. Thirdly, we want to make sure that we're giving you insightful detections from correlated data, not necessarily just giving you the opportunity to look at data from one source or one endpoint, but making sure that our system correlates that data to come up with more meaningful insights that could help you investigate your breach more efficiently and effectively. And then lastly, and also something that is part of what Blumira is always striving to work towards, is automated response across endpoints. We are always building more automation into our functionality and into Blumira as well, to make sure that your teams can contain and block threats as quickly as possible. and that we're all keeping up with industry standards when it comes to all of these aspects and criteria. So these are what we consider to be the fundamentals of an XDR, and that guides what our product team builds at Blumira, and really centering that around what SMBs need for good security. So not just in terms of the product, but with the support that we provide alongside the tools in our product. And considering that XDRs are historically have been really expensive, we want to make sure that we give everyone the opportunity to see how important, especially as we're moving into the future, an XDR system is for businesses of all sizes. And our biggest goal here is making sure that it's easy to deploy and manage, even for organizations that have maybe never used a SIM or any security tools before. And our open XDR platform, we've learned that it's really important to integrate with an assortment of tools, accommodate for our customers and the varying tech stacks that each of them come with, and making sure that we're regularly updating our detections and keeping in close contact with everyone that we work with. So if you've worked with Blumira before, you might know that it's been pretty easy to reach out to Blumira representative, walk through the XDR features, see what works best for your organization and its needs, and then figure out when you'd like to start a trial. We wanted to make that step a lot easier and quicker and with less intervention for you. And so earlier this spring, what we did was add a button in the navigation menu of Blumira for you to, with one click, begin the process to try the XDR platform free for 30 days. So that means that you'd be able to try almost everything that we have to offer and get a sense of what the full XDR platform that Blumira provides entails. So if you're a free user, you can click that button to activate your trial in-app, and it'll take you through a pretty guided onboarding process, because we want to make sure that we provide enough guidance that it's possible for you to set up your agent, run a test finding, investigate it, without necessarily reaching out to support, so that you can go through that onboarding at your own pace as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. Right, so once you're set up, let's see, you'd see the screen here, and you can see that we've broken up the steps for installing agents, running a test, and investigating that test pretty clearly. And once you're done with that, you'd be able to get up to 50 agents for which you could set up your own endpoints. So you could be monitoring like up to 50 devices. You could set up a whole bunch of cloud connectors. And after you've investigated your test finding, you'd be able to start analyzing real events over the duration of your trial. So with that, we wanted to make sure that we're continuing to make powerful, secure, and flexible technology accessible to everybody, and giving everyone the opportunity to see the breadth of what Blumira has to offer. Something that we worked on this spring, which also captures the spirit of that accessibility, especially for our customers and our users who have a lot going on in their day-to-day, and whose biggest frustration is the time that it takes to follow up and conduct an investigation. One of the things that we were most excited to release this year was Blumira Investigate. If you're on a paid edition, you probably have access to this. It's on the SIM Plus and XDR platform users. And if you are a free user, you could always turn on your trial to start it up and check it out. So this came from really listening to our customers and noticing patterns in the feedback that we've been getting from everybody. And this quote here kind of captures that. What really came up in feedback as a pattern from a variety of customers across multi-tenant and single-tenant users is that people want to see logs related to a specific data point, whether it's a device, a user, an IP address. There are some use cases where you might have one data point that you want to explore around. And historically, it's something that you could use the report builder for, but there are specific use cases that the report builder is really helpful and really valuable for. And we realized that a separate tool would be needed for this specific one, where maybe you're not sure exactly every single column or filter you want to apply on the table or a report before you really get into that information. And here, what this allows you to do is to conduct a simple search around one data point. Right. So this summary here captures that it investigates. Its purpose is to give you a holistic view of related security events to help you speed up investigation and response. So really, if you feel like you're in a position where you're trying to find a needle in a haystack and you're trying to construct a report from scratch in the report builder and you're struggling to figure out which columns you need, but you do know the specific username or device or IP address that you're trying to look around, that's a use case where Blumira Investigate is going to be a lot more efficient for you to follow up on your finding. So you can search by a few different criteria. Right now, it's a limited set of categories that you can search by, and we return all relevant data in a simple, relatively easy to understand dashboard. And within that dashboard, you can further drill into specific information that you're looking for and conduct follow-up investigation. So this is what that looks like. Right now, you can currently look up users, IP addresses, ports, and applications. We will be adding to this list, but for now, these were what came up as the most important data point types to start with. Once you hit submit, it can take a few seconds to a few minutes for all your data to come up. As you can see, there can be a large number of events and logs associated with your search. So depending on that scope, you might need to wait a little bit longer, or it might be pretty quick. So just keeping that in mind. When you get here, the first thing that you can see is that there's a time range that you can adjust to be as narrow, as broad as you'd like, and that a graph view is displayed for user events, system events, and traffic events. Over here, we searched for a user, so you would only see user events in this case. Typically, if you're looking at a cloud connector, an IP address, you would see system events or traffic events in those situations. And here at the bottom, you could also see the highlight of information that we've provided. So event numbers, most recent event, oldest event, and the data sources associated with it. As you scroll below, this is where you can really drill into that data and find specifically what you're looking for. So in this case, if there's a user that you're looking for and there's multiple names under that user, you could always click in that filter and exclude any results that are not relevant. If there's a specific IP address or device address that you know is associated with that user, you could further filter down on this over here. And something to note is that each of the items in this table are clickable, which means that you can conduct follow-up investigation without needing to note down like that piece of information and then go back into the search bar and type it all over again. What I'm going to do real quick is just jump into Blumira and show you guys something that I think would be really helpful for everybody to know. So if you're on a finding page and you know that there is a specific data point here that you'd like to conduct an investigation on, you don't need, like I said, you don't need to always write that piece of information down, type it out, copy paste it, go into investigate and start your investigation from scratch. Everything in here is clickable as well. And as long as you're clicking on something that fits one of the 4 categories of information that a valid investigate search can be conducted on, so users, IP address, ports, applications, you could click investigate in a new window and it would pop up that investigation for what you looked for. So here I'm looking for another username. We can see both user events and system events for this user. I can adjust the time range, and this chart view is expandable. As you can see, I only wanted to filter on this specific user, so I excluded these results. And what's really interesting here is that you don't, not only can you click on a relevant IP address and click investigate in a new window to kind of get, let's see, an additional investigation going in that new window for that IP address. You could also click on view logs to curate a specific report of those logs associated with that user. And so if I were to click view logs here, I jump into the report builder and it would create that report for me. So instead of going straight to the report builder, choosing your data source, choosing your columns and your filters, and making sure it has everything that you're looking for, you could generate a specific report from your investigation. So, it's like the use case I mentioned for Investigate, where it's not necessarily meant to replace the report builder, but to work in conjunction with it. And that's the spirit of the variety of tools that we build at Blumira, is that we want them to work in sync together so that your workflows are as streamlined and frictionless as possible. Cool. I'm going to jump back into the slides that I had for today. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to cover for my part of the investigation demo. An example use case related to searching for usernames, since that's the example that we've been looking at today. For any malicious processes, if you want to see if any endpoints are affected and that process was observed by, say, running a service account, you can search by username, and that can allow your IT analyst and whoever's using Blumira to review the authentication logs related to the compromised service account name to identify any potentially affected endpoints. So I'm going to jump to going over SAML single sign-on, because like the user need that I described related to Investigate, the need that was associated with needing single sign-on was also as much of a high priority for us, since we got a lot of customer requests on it. Managing credentials without single sign-on is a pain, so we wanted to make sure that you had the ability to sign into Blumira with your preferred identification provider. And this is what that login screen looked like. We kept the continue with Microsoft option for those whose authenticator is with Microsoft. And this is the setup page for single sign-on. We wanted to make it as easy and straightforward as possible so that you could get quickly set up with your SSO and have your logins and credentials be managed a lot more easier and streamlined than it was previously. So that's just a quick one that I wanted to highlight before getting into favorite and recent reports. So when I was going over how we could use Investigate to conduct to create a report in the report builder, that was also part of the feedback that we'd been hearing about the report builder, is that we know that when it comes to selecting the right data source, making sure that you're choosing the right columns that pertain to information that you're looking for and that you're filtering on them, that can be a time-consuming process. And while the report builder is a powerful tool that can support a number of use cases, we want to make sure that that tool is as efficient as it is powerful. And that's where recent and favorite reports come in. It's really important for us to listen to our customers and their needs, but we also like to see how you guys in the product with click rates interact with different pages. And we noticed, looking at the report builder specifically, that a lot of our users were tended to create reports from scratch, even when there might have been an existing pre-made report that could have been useful for those use cases. So previous to this favorite and recent report update, we didn't have this recent report, favorite report, or view all saved reports up here. The first thing that you'd see in the report builder was the time range, data sources, edit report, and submit. So it makes sense that intuitively, the first thing that you would do is start putting in your data sources and editing your report. You could click on this three-dot menu to view all saved reports, but we took that button out of there and put it here so it's easier to access, because we want to encourage you guys to take advantage of global and saved reports, whether those reports include exactly what you're looking for, or maybe loading those reports would be a good jumping point that you could start with and then edit and refine to curate the specific report that you're looking for. So Saved reports are reports that you create. So say you create a report from scratch, or you take a global report and you edit it. In that three-dot menu, you can always click Save Report when you're happy with the report that you have. That's a saved report made by you guys. And then we provide global reports. So that's an extensive list of reports that Blumira provides to our customers that we think would be useful for you, you to use frequently and in different scenarios. And with that, this update here, you can, in this dropdown, view your 5 most recently viewed reports. So if there are reports that you tend to go back to, or if there's been a breach or a specific problem that you're looking around and you're going to go back to the same set of reports, the recent reports dropdown is going to be helpful for that. The favorite reports dropdown shows you reports that you manually favorited for yourself. And those can be favorited by clicking View All Saved Reports and selecting the ones that you want to favorite. I highly recommend everybody to take advantage of favorite reports, because just going on to what that saved reports modal looks like. If you know what you're looking for, the search bar is really helpful, but because we like to provide a large number of reports to support a number of different use cases and systems, it's a pretty long list to scroll through. And so favoriting your reports can give you quicker and easier access to those reports. And it's as easy as selecting that star to favorite a report, clicking on it to unfavorite it. And then we've added these categories as tabs here to make it as easy for you to access as possible. So definitely encourage everyone to use existing reports in your investigations. If there's one that's, even if it's close to what you're looking for, you could always edit it and get it closer to the report that you're trying to build for your specific investigation. And you could always hit that 3-dot button in here and save that report for future use. All right. So those were highlights for some of the features that we were really looking forward to sharing with everybody. So through the spring and the summer, we added the time trial for XDR, Investigate, updates to the report builder, as well as single sign-on. Here is a quick glimpse into what we have coming in the upcoming weeks and months. The first few features that I'm going to go over are specific to MSP multi-tenant customers only. And then I'll get into a couple of updates that we have that apply to all our customers. So the first one we have is for MSP customers is the self-service subscription management in Blumira. So we want to provide integrated self-serve workflows for our MSPs to onboard customers to Blumira with zero friction. And what that entails is that if you have your MSP portal, you've got your billing page, what we want to bring to that billing page is the ability for you to add and edit your payments, view and download your invoices, edit your email recipients for billing, and actually create the orders, selecting the tier that you want, putting in your payment information, and completing that order in that application without reaching out to support at Blumira and without the back and forth and the wait that that can take. So what this entails is that you can manage your payment information, add or upgrade your tier. You can also view and approve custom plans that your Blumira representative has created for you. This is something that we're going to be putting out by the end of this year. And we're looking forward to hearing your feedback once we do put it out. The next thing that we're going to share is the highly requested ConnectWise Manage BSC integration. This is also being actively worked on by our engineers right now and will be released well before the end of the year is our plan. And with this, you would be able to incorporate Blumira into your ConnectWise Manage account. Recently, we had an MSP specific webinar where we dived a lot deeper into what this integration in Blumira is going to look like and how it's going to be set up. And just wanted to highlight for now, for ticketing, this is going to be a one-way sync integration. We'll be working towards setting up a two-way, but our goal was to get this out as quickly as possible and start bringing that value that a ConnectWise integration would bring to many of our MSP customers. And so you'd be able to manage Blumira findings as tickets within ConnectWise without needing to go back and forth into Blumira. This ConnectWise integration will also apply to billing. So we would be syncing billable objects into ConnectWise so that your billing can be reconciled automatically without needing to log into Blumira to get those details. Another highly requested feature that our team is working on and planned for around a late October release is bulk rule management. This entails more efficient management of rules and filters across your multiple sub-accounts that you as a managed service provider manage. And not only that, we want to make sure that you're able to set a standard, not just for your current customers, but as for future customers as well. So we want it to be easier for you to onboard new customers without manually having to adjust every single rule and filter across them. A lot of the rule detection statuses that you have apply to many of your sub accounts. We want to make sure that we make it easy for you to make changes that don't require repetitive or redundant work. What specifically does this involve in terms of bulk rule management? You'd be able to view and edit detection statuses for sub-accounts in bulk, selectively enable or disable detections to all or to a subset of your sub-accounts. And then that can give you the opportunity to include or exclude specific accounts. So it's not necessarily going to be the case that it's a one size fits all and there's no room for any adjustment or configuration there. We want to make sure that we provide some flexibility as well there. And then we'll also keep a detailed log of your bulk action so that information can be tracked, recorded, and accessed easily by you. So as evident by this picture of the iconic Blumira hedgehog, we want to do the heavy lifting for you. That is one of the goals that we have to make your day-to-day easier and more efficient. Okay, so here are a couple of updates that we have coming soon that'll apply to not just multi-tenant customers, but to everybody. First is integration connection alerts. This is set to go out in mid-September. So this is going to be like the standard notifications that you get for other kinds of alerts, but it's going to give you a notification when a specific integration goes offline and returns online. If you go into your Cloud Connectors page in Blumira, you could see the status for online or offline. There's like a green dot or a red dot indicating the status of that device. But sometimes there are disruptions where something goes offline, returns online, and by looking at that table of your integrations, you might not be able to tell that that's happening. And so we thought it's important to make sure that we have notifications for any potential changes in the environment that can be an indicator of disrupted services to make sure that you can catch outages as early as possible. For the first release of integration connection alerts, this is going to only apply to Cloud Connector. That's the one that we thought would be the highest priority for us to start with. And as you're giving us your feedback, we'll learn more about what kind of notifications and alerts are important to send you, how you would like to receive them, and what kind of ability you would like in order to configure those notifications as well. The next item that we have coming up for a mid-October release is we're going to be migrating the CrowdStrike sensor to a cloud connector. Recently, there was a change in CrowdStrike's API, and that required a number of integration changes for our CrowdStrike sensor module to be working as expected. And our team figured that since we already have a lot of customer requests for a CrowdStrike Cloud Connector for the benefits of easy setup and all the other pros that come with having a cloud connector, we thought that we could hit two birds with one stone, address this follow-up from the API change, and also address a high priority customer request that's been coming for a little while. Those are the highlights for what we have coming soon. We did want to leave time to have any questions or answers. Sorry, to have any questions from you guys. And if you have any feedback, definitely feel free to throw it in the chat.
Thank you, Isla. That was amazing. So again, to our attendees, if you do have questions, please feel free to add those in the chat. In the meantime, we did get a couple in. The first one here, I think we saw one example of a use case for Blumira Investigate. Could you maybe walk us through like what another one might look like?
Yeah, so so I think I went over specifically what you would do if there's a malicious process and how you would look up username. Another example I can think of is a phishing attack. So if you received a phishing email and you wanted to see how many of your employees might have clicked on any links in that email and basically did anything that was potentially risky. So in this situation, yeah, say that phishing email was reported and you want to see how many people clicked on it, you could search by URL in Investigate, and that could return results from a domain name service query log, and that could provide you with more information to see the scope of that incident to your IT analyst. Because when it comes to phishing emails, some of them are a lot more obvious than others, and a first step can be pretty important to see how broad was the impact of that event. So Investigate can be helpful for that as you're starting to do your follow-up from that.
Excellent. And another question here. Oh, this is a good one. If I investigate a data point and I am not seeing any results, what can I do to troubleshoot?
The first thing is making sure that the data point that you're searching is the type of data point that Investigate currently supports. We would love to support more, but for now, we're going to be sticking to the categories that were deemed highest priority. So what did I go over? I went users, which is username and user email, ports, applications, IP addresses. So that's one thing that I do. I like to check what am I searching. Secondly, I also know that with some searches, they can take a while to come through. So I think in the screenshot that I showed you guys, there were about like 4,000 results in that chart. Sometimes that can take a while to compile, so a couple of minutes. So I'd say if you're opening your investigation in a new window, you could always go back to your other window and do what you need to do and check back to see in a couple of minutes if that investigation has loaded. Sometimes we have heard from customers that they maybe thought that there wasn't data for that IP address or that the page was frozen, but really it was just another minute or few that our system needed to return their result. Another thing that I do to troubleshoot, because sometimes I have the default time range doesn't always fit the investigation, or at least the test investigation that I'm doing, is that I showed you guys the time range drop down at the top of the investigate page. Make sure to adjust that if you're not seeing, if maybe your time window is too narrow, you could always adjust that to be the past day or the past week if you're looking at an older finding, because I think by default it might be a little bit narrower than that for you.
Isla, any last thoughts for our attendees or anything that you'd like to have them keep in mind as they head off for today?
Yeah, no, I just appreciate you guys being here and letting us, giving us the opportunity to share what we've been really looking forward to sharing with y'all. And as a product manager, I'm always really happy to have conversation with you guys, ask some questions, get some feedback. Feel free to reach out to anyone at Blumira, if you have anyone's email or your account manager, and let them know if you'd like to set up some time with me. I'd love to interview you. My designer, my designer, he's on my team and I love working with him, but he's always really excited to get people's feedback and make sure that we're solving your problems in a way that keeps your needs centered, and that we're making our tools as usable as possible. So if you do ever want to chat with us, share your feedback, your feature requests, and answer some questions that we have to better understand your day-to-day and your needs, feel free to reach out to Zoe, to your account manager, or to anyone at Blumira and set up time with me, because I'd love to speak with you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great day, and we'll be seeing you on another webinar very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.